Hello everybody and welcome back again to a ship story video. It's Jamie from Old Shipping Lines and today we're talking about the fine Italian vessel, the fine Italian liner, the SS Duilio. For those who don't know, I'm Italian and I live in the Netherlands, so this again hits kind of home. I will try to do my best to not to stutter. And please know that I'm no expert, so if I get some things wrong, I'm sorry. But so yeah, let's begin with this video. So let's first begin, of course, with her building. The first drawings by Carelli for the two vessels dated back to 1910, when NGY envisioned building two sister ships for the Latin American service of approximately 5,000 tons and a larger liner about 20,000 gross tons for the express service between Genoa, Naples and New York. In 1912, after the decision to reduce the number of new buildings to two, the shipping world was upset by the tragedy of the Titanic, and all the rules on watertight compartmentalization and the means of evacuation were questioned. Although a deal on the minimum safety of life at sea, SOLAS requirements was reached in London in 1914. The agreement could not be ratified owing to the outbreak of the Great War. Nevertheless, in order to cope with public expectations, all shipping companies, including NGY, decided to invest in improving safety, although it meant increase in cost and building time. At last, in December 1930, Ansaldo of Genoa was entrusted by the Navigazione Generale with the construction of the Duilio. Now, Navigazione Generale was the company that owned the Duilio and later also her sister ship, the Giulio Cesare. While the contract for an almost identical vessel, the Giulio Cesare, was awarded to the well-known yard Swan Hunter and Wigham Richardson Ltd, based at Wallsend-on-Tyne Builder. Among many famous ships of the crack Cunarder Mauretania, at the time holder of the Blue Riband. NGY had organized a call for tenders for the second ship, which involved several European builders. The English yard won the contract also because it could offer a relatively short construction time. When met NGY's desire to have both vessels completed at the same time in summer 1916. The two shipyards would develop the design automontaneously, and it's indeed interesting to point out that Duilio and Giulio Cesare were similar but different also in hull forms. The Duilio was the first quadruple screw liner built in Italy. She was 20,000 tons and 200 meters long and had a speed of 20 knots. Giulio Cesare and Duilio represented a massive economic investment for the NGY, which intended to put in service two transatlantic liners, much superior to the previous Italian ones. Their new flagships were also intended to respond to similar initiatives from rival companies, particularly the Lloyd Sabaudo, which at the same time was defining the construction contract of the future Conto Rosso with the Scottish shipyard of William Bedmore. The Duilio was launched on 9 January 1916 in the Ansaldo yard, but was not completed until 1923. She made a maiden voyage on 29 October 1923 from Naples to New York City. Now we will move on to her early life. In December 1933, the South African government announced that from the following March, the subsidized contract for the transport of mail, until then held firmly in the hands of the British company Union Castle Line, would be awarded to the Italian line. Duilio and Giulio Cesare at least 3 knots faster than any other ship on that route, were chosen to operate on the new express line Genoa-Cape Town. After 3 months spent at the OARN workshops in Genoa, they emerged with shortened funnels and a wide hull, encircled at the waterline and at main deck level by emerald green bands, deemed more suitable for sailing to hot climates. Besides the upgrading of the accommodation for a reduced number of guests, many public rooms were updated in a much more contemporary way, taking as inspiration decorative elements originally designed for the modern Conte di Sovia. From January 1937, with the creation of Finmare, a state-controlled concern acting as parent company to the Italian lines, Duilio and Giulio Cesare were transferred to Lloyd Tristino. But although the South African mail contract reverted to Union Castle Line for political reasons, they continued to serve successfully on the same route. And now we shall move on to the third part of the story, World War II. Except for the single voyage to Cadiz in June 1939 for the representation of the Italian veterans who had taken part to the Spanish Civil War, the Duilio remained in service along the western coast of Africa until the outbreak of World War II, when she was laid up at Naples and later at Genoa, before being moved to Trieste. Here, she would later be transformed for a special mission. After rejoining her sister ship at Genoa on the 30th of April 1942, both ships set sail from the Ligurian port for the first of 3 representation journeys of the Italian civilians from the East Africa colonies after Somaliland and Ethiopia had fallen into British hands. Their trips were altered with similar ones performed by the motor vessels Saturnia and Vulcania. Now we move to the last part of the story, and that is attack. At the end of this task in August 1943, Giulio Cesare and Duilio were again laid up, this time both at Trieste. Here, Duilio was hit by incendiary rockets and destroyed during an Allied raid in June 1944, together with the Italian lines SS Sabodia, the former Stockholm, built for the Swedish-American line. Now, although her sister ship, the SS Giulio Cesare, she survived the first attack, she would meet the same fate. She was lying at anchor very close to her sister ship. A subsequent bombing, which occurred 3 months afterwards, would sink her as well. The 2 wrecks were refloated and demolished after the war. The Duilio at San Rocco shipyard at Muggia, ending the life of the Duilio in World War II. Now, sadly, Italy lost many passenger liners during the war. The only one that I can remember of, I might be wrong, was the SS Conte Biancomano, who survived the war. But like I said, I could be wrong. But please let us not forget the other Italian liners, like the Duilio, that was sunk in World War II. And that was the end of a ship story video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I didn't stutter too much, and I hope that I got all my research correctly. Again, if I'm wrong, I'm not an expert, I'm sorry. But I also quickly want to take this opportunity to thank all the new subscribers who have subscribed these last days. This couldn't have been done without all of you. Now, also one little fact, we have one Discord server called the Ocean Liner Enthusiasts. And we are searching for new members. It's a very fun community to be in. Amazing ship pictures are being posted in there, and there's a very good vibe, as I say.
So I will then leave a link to the Discord in the description. It would be very much appreciated if we have new members to join. Also, please leave in your comments your thoughts of this video. And with that out of the way, guys, have a good night or day wherever you are, and we will see each other in the next video. Goodbye.